Yeah, hi. We just wanted to bring you some breaking news. This is happening in Surrey, BC. The border guard has been shot at the border crossing into BC. Surrey, we'll have more details later. We'll keep you posted as those details become available. Very sad story. All right, let's bring in our MPs. You know, the witty trio for Tuesday. Edmonton Conservative James Rajat, Megan Leslie, the Halifax NDP Deputy Leader, and from Cape Breton, Liberal Roger Cuzner. Welcome to you all.
Thanks.
All right, you heard James Moore talking about the museum, and I know some people are a little skeptical. Megan, good idea?
A little skeptical.
A little skeptical?
I mean, we have a formula that's working, right? I think, for example, the Museum of Civilization's got a good thing going. I don't see why the Conservatives are tinkering with it and looking at rebranding. So a little skeptical. We'll see.
You want to keep the civilization in it, do you?
Why not?
All right. What do you think about that, Roger?
I think it'll be okay until the NDP come with a museum killing carbon tax. It's fearful. You know, to realign the rebranding, I guess, you know, it should be the Museum of Canadian History or just parts of the stuff that the Conservatives like. Maybe we'll put that in, but you know, it has to be rethought, I guess, and to redo it. When they did the Canadian Museum of the War Museum, they did an outstanding job, and for a bunch of different reasons, but just the sort of chronological way they laid it out. So I think if they do that with this, it'll.
I think the Liberals did that one, didn't they?
Well, it'll be a quick visit. If they take out everything that the Liberals did, it'll be a quick visit to the museum anyway.
All right, I don't have to get yours because I had the minister talk.
Just briefly, I mean, you know, it's been very well received by people, I mean, outside, and I think it's a wonderful idea to have a museum dedicated to Canadian history. And I promise, Roger, it will be fully, you know, balanced. And we will have a copy of your Green Shift platform in there.
Front and center.
Okay, speaking of that, Megan Leslie, you caused quite a ruckus in the House of Commons today, taking on the Prime Minister over cap and trade and carbon tax allegations coming back to you. He seemed to be a little too happy. Did you hand him a hammer so that he could keep whacking the NDP on their head over this make-believe carbon tax he keeps saying you guys are advocating?
No, that's not the way I see it.
Okay, what do you see it then?
I see it as a pretty desperate attempt to just try and convince Canadians of something that's not true, but Canadians absolutely see through this. You can't have it both ways, right? The Prime Minister talked about, we had a cap and trade system, this is what we'll implement. That's fine, right? Whether you agree with that or not is up for debate. That's a true policy discussion. But they're saying, A, it's a carbon tax, which it's not. There is a policy distinction. And B, they're creating it like it's something evil or bad that we should be afraid of, and therefore not have discussion on climate change, not have discussion on what the solutions are. It's fear-mongering, it's divisive, and I don't think it's working.
It's not true.
What do you think?
It's not true. You know, I think Megan is right to go back at the government with it. But, you know, then all the focus becomes the carbon tax stuff. So, you know, that's the unfortunate part. She had a little bit of trouble getting the first two out, but I think she landed the third.
The House erupted.
And the fourth. But, you know, she's actually looking for, what she was looking for was an actual exchange of ideas and truth in question period, and that's been somewhat absent, I think. So, but you know, I think we have to bell the cat. I think the media is finally catching on that, you know, this repetitive foolishness about the carbon tax and this kind of stuff. Even you.
James Rajat's
I think the media, they're the first to catch on, right? Well, look, I mean, the Prime Minister actually in his response is highlighted in terms of reducing carbon emissions, sector by sector regulation. He talked about regulating the coal sector as we've done in terms of phasing it out. But here in the NDP platform shows revenues that are derived from this. A cap and trade system is actually a revenue neutral system. So I'll actually give time to Megan if she can explain where these revenues are coming from, who's paying them. I mean, because this clearly looks to me like a tax in your own platform. So where are these revenues coming from? Who is in fact paying these?
I'm happy to answer that, but I also want to point out this is the first time I have ever been asked by a Conservative to actually engage on the policy issue here. Like, holy
Well, we don't have time
smokes.
to go into this too much.
And then, so James has to explain where the $64 a ton is going to come from in their cap and trade package too. Okay, so let's do it tit for tat.
Revenue neutral. Right?
Oh yeah.
It is.
No.
Okay.
So this money goes back into the system to help. It's almost like it supercharges the money. You're going to cut me off because it's policy.
Moving right along.
How is it raised?
You raise it through the cap and trade system, then you reinvest it in to actually help us reduce our greenhouse gas emissions even further.
Megan, somebody has to pay this. industry who may pass it on to the consumer.
Yeah,
consumers
and
themselves.
what about your program right now under
No, I'm
regulation?
just asking
There's no
about yours.
cost with that.
Actually giving your
Industry pays.
I'm giving industry will pay.
Okay,
Yes.
next
And
topic.
not pass
Okay.
1 cent of this cost.
Just
Stop
like your
it, you two.
regulations right now, industry
Can you
pays.
cut them off? Is that possible? All right. Roger.
Yes.
Your party is playing a little mischief with Stephen Harper throwing something at him. You've got a motion that suggests that the House supports Stephen Harper from 1994, where he basically took on omnibus legislation, said it was a
Yes.
bad idea, anti-democratic, and all this sort of stuff. Why is that a good tactic? Why are you throwing his
Well,
words back at him? They are 20 years old.
We think it could be a good tactic unless the NDP introduce an omnibus killing carbon tax.
We have that power.
You know the debate that should be had. The
No.
best debate. Everybody's looking forward to the debate this evening with with Obama and Mitt Romney. If we could get Stephen Harper, the opposition leader, to debate Stephen Harper, the Prime Minister, that would, because what he believed in and criticized before, now he criticizes and believes in, the omnibus stuff. He took us to task when we were government in 1994 for a 20-page budget. Now, if you cut his omnibus bill up into 20 segments, none of them would be under 20 pages. I mean, it's like comparing apples and oranges. He believed in cap and trade, and now he's railing against the NDP against it. So
Roger's
it'd be a
good
great
friend,
debate.
But he's trying to rely on my bad memory. The fact is, I've been here almost 12 years. I was in opposition when the Liberals introduced all sorts of bills with all sorts of various issues. The issue is not how large a bill is, or the issue is not how diverse it is. The issue is, does it get proper study in the House of Commons and at committee? And our argument is, with respect to the last budget bill, it got over 50 hours of study, both at the Finance Committee and at a subcommittee.
It changed
It got
70
more
pieces
hours
of
of
legislation.
debate than any budget bill I've seen in 12 years in this House.
Okay. Megan, it's your anniversary. We're 4 years ago today. You got elected. As an anniversary president, you get the last word between these two.
On which subject?
About the
This
omnibus
subject?
bill, like the
it's
motion.
on our anniversary? I've got nothing to say about it. It's exciting.
You're 2 years away from a pension.
With this bill, think about the way that civil society can engage with making legislation. They do it in lots of ways. They write letters to the editor. They write to their MPs. They come to committee and they testify. At committee, 0 amendments were approved. In the House, I read letters into the record and was mocked by the Conservatives. Media, letters to the editor, things like that, completely ignored. So the question that James asks is good. Are we actually listening to people? Are we actually having fulsome debate? And we're not.
Okay, we're done. Thank you very much. James Rajat, Megan Leslie, Roger Cousin. We'll see you next week. Coming up after the break, well, Canadians appear to have stashed away millions of dollars in tax havens. The government has their names